Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Sunandini and I'm an entrepreneur and have been associated with Inside IIM as a video producer since 2022. The agenda of this webinar is to create awareness about how people from various backgrounds and skills end up doing an MBA from the world's best B schools. Today, we are privileged to have Bhargav Korada, who is an incoming MBA candidate at world's fourth ranked B school as per QS ranking, HEC Paris, as a guest speaker. He is an electronics and communications engineer from NIT Jamshedpur, and this is his journey from a top 100 ranked NIRF engineering college to world's fourth best B school. He will enlighten us about his journey, struggles, and achievements, shedding a spotlight on his preparation and strategy to get into HEC Paris. If you have any questions during the presentation, please comment on the live chat and we'll address them during the Q&A. So, Bhargav, the crux of this webinar is what made you jump to a fourth best B school, not in India, but in the world, all within 5 years after your BTech from NIT. I want to dig deeper to know what you learned, experienced, and built yourself to reach there. So maybe let's just begin with what was your goal when you were in NIT?
Sure. Before we get started, first of all, thank you, Sunandini, for this opportunity. I hope this webinar helps people. I know a lot of people have been pinging me about questions around HEC. I hope this seminar helps all of them get answered in a single go. Coming to your question, picking NIT Jamshedpur or electronics specifically wasn't, I would say, any pre-planned or pre-planned process. I know that I was good at math when compared to other options available with me. So that's why I leaned towards engineering. And I think a bit of it was because most of my family members are engineers. So I also leaned towards that. And picking electronics was because I wasn't sure if I wanted computer science or electronics, and I thought electronics would give an option to move between both of them. And coming to a question that what was the goal? To be precise, the goal was more to explore, understand what I want to do, where I fit in, or what I would like to do. And I went in with that goal, used that 4 years to explore things out, tried different positions of responsibilities in the college, different events and different things. And now I'm here.
So maybe not in the start, but within the process, did you ever feel that you wanted to get out of tech role and go into more business role?
Yeah, so my process has been more of a elimination process. So I would say that as time went on, I rather understood what I don't want to do rather than what I want to do. And that elimination process led to me into the business role. I joined electronics, got an opportunity to have a taste of both software side of the things and the hardcore electronic side of the thing. With time, I understood that electronics is not something that interests me, and I wouldn't like to do it for the long term. So that's how I got into software. That's what my first job was with Capgemini as a senior software engineer. But while also working as a senior software engineer, I realized that this is not something I want to do for the long run. And that's when I also during that year, I understood that I would like to be I like to work on problems which are quant intensive, but at the same time, I want the problems which are more relatable or tangible. And that's when I came across business analytics as a stream, and that interested me. And that's how I tuned or aim to make a switch into that field and move to my next job role.
Okay. So just to make this clearer to our audience, I wanted to say that you had 3 roles post your engineering. One was senior software engineer at Capgemini, then was business analyst at Redens, and then business intelligence engineer at Amazon. So let's dig deeper into these and understand where your thought process came into and how your profile was built so that we can help our viewers with this. So was there a reason? I have seen that you were in data and tech driven industry throughout. Was there a reason for this?
Yes. So I'll take a step back. So I started with software engineer. My role was more of a data warehouse related role where I was working with a insurance bank in Japan, and I was working on their backend data warehouse system. So the skills I had at that point of time was SQL, a couple of ETL related tools, and the problems we were solving was purely tech oriented. That would, for example, it'll be things around that why the data is not flowing, or why the insurance amount against a particular customer is showing is coming out to be wrong. So they were purely tech problems. That's where I realized that this is not I want to figure out. If I'm fixing some problem, I should be able to understand how it is impacting the overall business. And that's why I thought that what skills do I have right now, and how can I leverage them and transfer to a different job function itself. So I was good with handling data, and I was good with automating things. I was good with coming up or running or understanding the metrics. So I used those three skills. I moved to the to Tridents as a business analyst, and
Wait, wait. Before we get into that flow, I
yeah.
really want to understand the role in a more implementation way. So,
Mhm.
can you explain, like, as a senior software engineer in Capgemini, you started it there. So, what was the maybe an example that, okay, this is the data that is given to you, and this is how you used the data to do something? So, can you just give us an example of your work?
Yeah. So okay, so Capgemini is a IT consulting firm, right? So it's a vendor, and there's a bank in Japan who was our client, and we were handling their data warehouse. So anytime you buy an insurance, there is a back end to it, the IT infrastructure, which is doing the backend calculations or doing keeping a record of everything, and that all that data stays in a data warehouse.
Hmm.
Me and my team was responsible for maintaining and improving upon on that data warehouse. The entire process is called ETL, which is extract, transform, and load, which is starting from extracting the raw data, transforming it, and loading it in a proper way so that other business units can make build reports on top of that, get insights, take actions. My role specifically was to design these workflows. So let's say now we have found a new data source, starting from loading it to the organization, what kind of processes should be applied on that data for as a cleansing purpose, and then in what format they need to be loaded into the particular database. So that used to be my role, and this designing those workflows and testing those workflows was more of my job role.
Okay. And from here, then you went into business analyst and Credence.
Yeah.
So, what was the difference now from there to here?
Yeah, so this is senior software engineer role is very tech oriented role. You wouldn't, for example, the business we were working with was an insurance company, right? Even though I was working with them, for my role, I don't need to understand how the insurance business works.
Hmm.
I mean, I need a little bit of understanding so that I understand how should I design the workflows, but I don't need to understand how insurance companies are making money, or how they are becoming profitable and those part of the things. But when you move to business analyst roles, what you would be doing is you would be using the outputs created by the senior software engineers, that is the data warehouses they create. That process data you would use and try to create insights out of it, which can help the stakeholders to take a decision. So, for example, uh, one of our clients while I was working with students was a retailer, and we were working with their marketing team. If I was a senior software engineer, my problem statement would be somewhere like design the workflow so that uh, uh, all the purchases done in a store, all the data related to that is being stored in a good format. As a business analyst, your role would be that, okay, now you have the data of about all the purchases being done in a store, figure out where we are losing money, or where we who are our top customers, what kind of campaigns I should run, or I ran a campaign X, was it successful or not, did it do the job it was supposed to do. So that's how the that's what overview difference in terms of both the job roles and responsibilities.
And now coming to business intelligence. So how
Yeah.
is that different from all these?
Yeah. So it is actually almost same. I would say it's just the name of the designation is a little different in Amazon, but overall, the expectation from you is to give out insights which can help stakeholders take decisions. The only difference is that with Shreedens, I was working with multiple functions and different clients. So it's a analytics service provider or analytic consulting company. So you will have multiple clients, and not every time your function would be same. So I've worked with marketing teams, I've worked with warehouse management teams, and every time the data and the goals change. But with Amazon, it is more of an in-house analytics team. So, and it'll be more of a product analyst role. So that team I used to work with handles the apps uh, used by the Amazon drivers throughout the world. So our team in Hyderabad used to support the analytics around that app, that what feature should we flush out, what kind of changes we should make, whether my feature we have launched is working the way it's supposed to or not. So these are the couple of questions you would get, and it'll be focused around the product. And I think that's why there's a different name for the role in itself. But at the core, the responsibilities and expectation and the skill set required is exactly or almost same.
Okay, so like working with data, there can be different questions, but the way you use it is almost in a same pattern, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So as an analyst, like your goal would always be to use data and answer questions. The questions will change based upon whom you're working with.
Mm.
So if you're working with a marketing team, their questions would be whether my campaign worked or not, or whom should I send this campaign to. So is it because every time you send a campaign, which could be something like a coupon, you are spending some money, right? So it's your job to figure out, should I send it to Sunandini or should I send it to Bhargav? Sending whom would it be more efficient in terms of cost? At the
Mm.
same time, if you're working with, let's say, warehouse people, they'll ask questions around, okay, optimize my labor requirement. Should I hire 10 people today or should I hire 20 people today? Because every labor, every work, uh, every person costs them some money, and they want to optimize that. When you're working some with product, again, the questions would be around product. So working as an analyst, your role would be always answer the questions with the data you have. Then you have different ways and techniques to do that. But it mainly depends upon who are you supporting, and that will define what your questions would be and what the goals you're working towards.
Great. So before we get into your HEC, what you did and how you did, I wanted to say on the databases only that we actually have a course on data analytics in Masterclass Alt Uni, and you can all of you guys can check it out and see it explains business intelligence, data visualization, and many different aspects of this course. So you can go and check it out. So coming back now, so now like we understood what is your profile and how you grew up and what happened with you before your MBA. So let's dig into MBA now. So when did the thought of MBA come to you?
Oh, it's been for a while. I would say after a year in Credence, I got serious about MBA, because when I was working with Credence, I got to work with different function heads or different business stakeholders. As a senior software engineer, you wouldn't get that chance because you'll be surrounded with the tech people and tech leadership. But when you are working as an analyst and your job role itself is to support the different function heads, I got an opportunity to interact with them. So how they take decision, how they think about a particular problem, and how they approach that. That's something motivated me and made me think about pursuing MBA. So I think that's when the entire MBA thing became serious. And yeah, I think that'll be the point.
And why MBA from abroad specifically?
Yeah, so the initial plan was not to, I wasn't to do MBA from abroad. I was actually trying for IIMs. In I think I had 2 years of experience, so it still made sense for me to do an MBA from IIM. But one thing I was 100% sure of, that if I want to do an MBA, I want to do it from the top tier college. Even within India, I wanted to target only the top five or the top three. That didn't work out, and that's when I realized that now I have 3 to 4 years of experience. It does not make sense anymore to try IIMs, considering the cohort of people go there. So that's when I thought about giving GMAT and trying to see what all other avenues I have, and that's when the entire MBA and abroad thing came into picture.
Okay. So let's start like when you're there and you're thinking about abroad, and how many exams and like what was the timeline of your preparation from here onwards?
Yeah. So first of all, you would need to give a GMAT. So uh, that's sort of the entrance exam for if you want to do an MBA outside or for ISB. So the initial plan was to give GMAT exam around July or August, because all the colleges, their admission rounds start around September or October, be it abroad or be at the ISP. But when I wrote the exam, my first attempt wasn't good. I wrote it again. That didn't go well either. So by the time I could get a good GMAT score, which I thought was good enough to at least let me clear the first round of filtration, that is the profile selection. It was around December,
What was
and
the GMAT score?
it was 730.
730. Okay. And
Yeah,
like what is the average score in HEC?
it's around 710, I guess.
710.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
No.
yeah. So one advice from me for other people would be that keep some buffer time just in case that your first attempt doesn't go well, because you can take GMAT within a gap of 15 days again. So keep a buffer time so that you can think what went wrong, and do you need time again to study more, or it was just a bad day sort of a thing. That was one mistake I did. And yeah, so the way I was saying, that it was December by the time I got my score, which I thought was good enough to apply. But the problem with that by December for most of the colleges, the round twos would be done, and that was the problem I had. So I sort of figured out. So colleges have two types of intakes: one who start in September and other who start in Jan. There are very few colleges who start in Jan, and luckily HEC was one of them. So since I got my score a little late, I targeted only those colleges which were of 1 year in length, or 1 year or 1.5 year in length, and were starting in Jan. And that's how based upon that filtration, I applied on a couple of colleges, and HEC was one of them, and I made it to that. So I've
Okay.
decided.
How many colleges did you apply for? Like, and which ones, the top maybe three, four on your list?
Yeah, so applied for HEC, I applied for INSEAD. There's this college in Australia, Melbourne Business School,
Hmm.
and there's one college in Switzerland, IMD. So these were the four colleges I applied, and I also applied for ISP, but I applied uh, with with a different score. I got 700 in my second attempt, so I applied with that score. So these were the, I think, five colleges I have applied in this round of admissions.
Okay. Before we go ahead, I wanted to get a bit back to
Mhm.
understand your 10th, 12th grade and bachelor's course to know
Yeah.
that if that impacts your profile overall.
Mhm. Uh, I actually not 100% sure how much impact they have, but they do. Uh, uh, the colleges do create a set off based upon create a cutoff based upon those scores. Uh, but I am exactly not sure how much do they impact. If you're asking specifically about me, I think I had a decent score in 10th, 12th, and engineering. It wasn't a 9 pointer. At the same time, it wasn't very bad. I was at 8.65, so I would say a decent enough score. But if you are someone who has unfortunately have a very one of the 10th, 12th or engineering is very at the lower end. I think you can use GMAT as a tool to bypass that. And that was one of the things I was also aiming for, that I want a score above 730 or 730 plus. That's why I gave multiple attempts, because I knew that I have sort of a generic profile, engineer, male, that too from India, where the competition is a little high. So I wanted to make sure that my score was something which put me, gave me that extra boost, which could help me in the application process.
Okay. And the colleges you chose, was there a specific reason and you chose those?
Yeah, so one, as I was saying, that I wanted to do it from the tier one colleges. That was the first set of filtration. I didn't wanted to compromise on that front. But second, I was looking for a 1 year program or 1.5 year program. I wasn't ready to spend 2 years on an MBA. And then unwanted constraint was that I wanted something which would start on Jan itself. Otherwise, I would have to wait another year, and I didn't want to lose that. Luckily, HEC and the colleges I mentioned earlier were fitting into this criteria, and finally HEC, I was able to convert HEC, and everything worked out so well.
Okay. And did you have an interview process as well in HEC?
Yeah. So the process for HEC is that first you submit your application along with your GMAT score and essays. You would get a shortlist. If you get a shortlist, you would be scheduled and interviewed with the alums. So there will be 2 interviews. The way interviews work is one of the interviewer would be, they try it, that one of the interviewer is from your own country, and uh, and he or she is somewhere in your same background. So if I'm from analytics, they tried that one of the interviewer is from analytics and one of the interviewer is Indian, and so that they are able to more relate to the candidate and the problems we are talking about and the challenges. And the way the interview would work is you would have to create a presentation, a 10-minute presentation on any topic of your choice. It can be a problem you have worked in while you were in college. It could be something of your interest or something you want to do while you are at the college or after college. Every interview you would need to give that 10 minutes presentation. And one thing which you need to be very sure of is that you don't cross that 10 minutes mark or neither come short on that. That's one thing to be aware of. And the rest 50 minutes they use to check my fitment, what is my aim, why do I want to get into that college, to HEC, or why do I want to do an MBA, those sort of general things.
So, can you just give us examples of the case studies and the answers that you gave that led you to this campus?
Yeah, so I mean, those will be one of the common questions, that why you want to do an MBA and why now, and there will be again the second question, that why you want to do HEC. So the way I went about why MBA part is that I tried to highlight that what my current role is and what are the skill set I have right now, where do I want to go, and what is the gap in between. So this is the point A I am right now. I want to go to point B, and X is missing, and X is something I lack for me to go to point B. And I try to highlight that how MBA is going to help me get that X. And that's on the why part. Why now part, I try to relate to the college. So if you look at HEC student profiles, the average age of experience, average years of experience would be around 5 or 6 years. That's what I have. So I told that I would fit with right with the batch, and if I want to go to from point A to point B, there is nothing I can do. And even if I find out a way to get to point B, it will take much more time for me when compared with doing a 1 year MBA. So these were the 2 points which I highlighted in the application part to justify that why doing an MBA now makes sense. So this was the first question. And the second question was that why HEC? it again ties back to the same thing, that there was an X missing in my skill set. I tried to figure out that how HEC could help me get that X. It could be there are specific courses you want to do which HEC, excuse me, there are specific questions you want, courses you want to do which HEC can offer. There are particular programs you want to do, like exchange programs. There is a specific industry for which that college is famous for. For example, HEC is famous for retail and luxury sector. So if you want to get into companies like Gucci or Louis Vuitton after your MBA as a marketing profile or as an operation guy, then HEC is a very good college for you. So try to relate that how the gap in the gap you highlighted in the first question can be filled with the tools which HEC provide or whatever college you're looking for. So that was the entire mental model behind answering the questions. And these were the same questions you must have written in the application essays. So HEC asks for a lot of essays. You have to submit 5 essays as part of the application process. So if you're applying, make sure that you give enough time, because writing 5 essays takes a lot of time.
So these are very, what do you say, a formulated, applied to everyone. But was there something X factor that they were looking for? I'm sure many people are applying and they only select a few because there are only a limited seats. So maybe like, can you tell me what skill or what profile are they looking for? And maybe some X factor that they want in someone.
Okay, I'm not sure about the X factor, but I can tell you what I highlighted in my skill set. So I tried to play on my strengths. So if you pick my profile, my strength was that I was good with the analytics part, and I have done it for different functions. So I've worked with marketing, supply chain, product, and customer insights. So I was able to bring a little bit from everything. And I knew how analytics as a function works in each of those particular functions. So that's one thing I highlighted. That
Can you give an example? Maybe pick up 2 industries and give an example how analytics works.
Yeah, so I think I covered this part earlier, that the goal of each function would be different. For example, a marketing person, the types of analysis you do for a marketing stakeholder would be very different from a supply chain person, because the problem statements in itself is different. While you're working with marketing, you need to be quick. So they run multiple campaigns and you should be able to tell which campaign is working better so that you can scale up and send it out throughout the customer base. And the types of analysis you will be running would be something like A/B test, where you're comparing 2 campaigns and trying to figure out which campaign performed better.
So to rephrase my question, let's not dig deeper into this, but was HEC looking into your depth of knowledge into these things? Were they questioning you a lot on these?
Yeah, one of the interviewer was from analytics background, so she did dug a little deeper about what sort of problems I have worked on and how I approach those problems. She was trying to understand what, as you said, what was the depth of knowledge I have about my field. At the same time, she was trying to understand that how I react when I'm put in difficult or stressful situations. So
can you give an example of a stressful situation she gave?
So it'll be things like, yeah. So let's say I told about one situation that where we were doing one analysis, the output of which was supposed to tell the performance of category managers of a retailer for the entire year. And it was an end of financial year. So let's say today is the last day of financial year, and we are supposed to give the analysis by end of the day today, because the output will be used to decide their bonuses. Okay. So my stakeholder and I were working with it, and something went wrong with the analysis, or some code didn't work the way it was supposed to do. And you would be start getting messages and things from different category managers across the board that I am not able to refresh the platform, my numbers are not updating. So the question was that the objective was that how did I tackle that situation, or how did we mitigate uh, uh, mitigate the problem there. How did you communicate, or what did you do exactly? That's what she was trying to focus. She asked questions like, what was your first reaction? Who How did you went about solving that? And more of a behavioral questions that
And
as I
what
was
was the answer she was looking for from you?
she was trying to understand if I have a process to it or not. Uh, it's not necessary that whatever you're answering is right or not. What she was trying to understand that, were you someone who kind of introspected that situation and were able to figure out that,
Mm.
okay, if this happens again, I know what I need to do, rather than someone. So more of like, I can leave this person in another stressful situation and he would be able to find his way out of it, and he won't be needing any sort of babysitting or those sort of things. So I think that's what she was trying to assess or understand.
Okay, so on one side, a more, your core thing, whatever you did in the past, and they were trying to see in stressful situation, you have a method to
Yeah.
resolve it.
Yeah.
Was there any generic interviewer who was looking for something else, maybe which is applicable to all, not just data-driven people or engineers?
uh, I think the generic questions. So one thing I've realized, or what I feel with both the interviewers, was that they wanted to make sure that we were aware of what we are getting into. For example, they put a stress on the fact that HEC is in France. So if you want to get a job in France, you would need to know French, and more, it'll be a challenge if you don't know a French. Uh, Things like HEC is actually not in Paris, it's 2 hours away from Paris. So if you're planning to do some sort of part-time job to make money uh, on the side, you won't be able to do that. There was a couple of practical things she was trying to focus on, and both the interviews were trying to focus on. And the goal was that, do the candidate know what he's trying to get into? Because I don't want someone who goes to college and after a month he's like, why did I make that? It's because that's a negative for the entire batch and entire cohort in itself, and the college doesn't want that. I think that was one generic thing which they stressed on. And I wouldn't say it was an interview. This was more of a conversation. None of them was a stress interviews or grill sort of interview. It was just a conversation where they were trying to know about me, how much I know about myself, and how I go about things, and how my communication is. So those kind of overall fitment questions.
Okay. And would you suggest people to research on the alumni base? Did you research on the alumni base, that how many Indians go there, or what is the
Yeah,
education culture? So
yeah,
can
I
you?
did. I did that. So I was trying to understand what would a success rate for an Indian look like. So HEC takes in around 300 students for every year. 160 of them joined in September, 160 of them joined in Jan, but both the batches graduate in the same year. Uh, so both of the batches will be same. And what I have found is that in a batch of 300, around 45 to 50 would be Indian, so 10% or 15% of the batch is generally Indian. Uh, that's a good enough uh, uh,
Mm.
percentage. And then I try to understand what was the profile of these 50 folks. Were there anyone who got into analytics, who was from analytics, and where are they right now? And to find this out, LinkedIn is your friend. That's the only source you can get and you can use. But if you can find people who are from your background and have moved to a place where you want to be, then I think you can connect with them, understand the challenges, or is it easy, or they were sort of the exceptions in the cohort. Once you have an idea about that, I think that level of research is good enough to proceed.
And do you think these Indians were mostly engineers, or was there a diversity there as well?
There was diversity, but at the end, the percentage of NGOs is always going to be more. But I, even of the people who are going with me right now, there are people who are from finance, who are CAs, there are doctors, there are people who are from army background, uh, there are people who are lawyers. So there is variety, but at the end of the day, when you look at the Indian cohort, the percentage of engineers would be a little more compared to any particular background, because that's how the distribution in our country itself looks like.
Okay. And what is the specialization system there? Like, do you have a specialization in MBA, and what is your specialization?
Yeah, so the good part with HEC is that it's a 16-month course, of which 3 months would be a summer break where you do a intern. So technically it's 13 to 12 months of teaching. That the way the program is, that first 8 months is, so entire 16 months have been divided into 4 terms. Each term is of 4 months. Term 1 and term 2 is mandatory for everyone. So the courses are same for everyone. Term 3 and term 4 is something what they call as customized form. So what they do is, in those 8 months, you can do internship, you can pick a specialization, you can pick specific electives, or you can do an international exchange. There are a couple of options you can choose for. And uh, one of those options is doing specialization. So you get specializations in entrepreneurship, finance, strategy, digital marketing, and sustainable development, I believe. So these are a couple of things which you don't need to decide beforehand. You can decide when the time comes, and based upon term 1 and term 2, what your interests are. But yeah, you do get a good flexibility on your MBA course and what sort of things you want to learn and uh, pick up from the entire course.
Okay. So one of the major criterias of selection is selection of a college is financing. So
Mhm.
what is your estimated budget for this? I think it's a 16-month course,
Yeah.
right? So what is your estimated budget as of yet?
Yeah, it'll be around 90 lakhs if you include uh, 85 to 90, I guess, based upon your tuition fees and living expenses. So this is the higher end. I think 85 would be the max it would cost you. But yeah, for a 1 year course, considering it's at top four, I think it's a good deal, I guess.
Okay. And how are you financing this? Loans, scholarships, anything like that?
Yeah, so I am uh, financing a part of it based on my savings and my father's help, and the other part I am taking loan. There are a couple of loan options. So I'm taking something. There's a company called Prodigy Finance, which is a peer-to-peer based loan lending company who does not take collateral, and specifically for education. So there are different entities you can explore and are willing to finance, and they have tie-ups with HEC itself. So everything starting from filling the application to getting disbursement of the loan would be smooth.
And
So
what is the interest rate for this?
it's 10.7. So it depends upon when you're applying and what are you declaring and how much you are applying for. So I know people who got loan for 6%, and I know people who have got loan for 14%. So it depends upon situation to situation and what various factors.
What will make you get 6%? Like, how can we get 6%?
I think they applied a year before. So these were the people who got in the first round itself. So HEC does a rolling admission. So it has 10 rounds in a year, unlike different other colleges which have only 3. And the first round starts around March, I believe. So these were the people who knew a year before that they would be needing a loan after a year or after, let's say, 10 months. So those were the people who got, I think, 6% or 7%.
Okay. And what is the average salary, base salary in HEC?
As per the reports, it's 130K US dollars, the base salary.
Oh,
And
that will be in rupees. How much? Uh,
I think it'll be around 1.5
Okay, let me check. $130,000, 1 crore, almost 1 crore. Uh, and he's gone. Okay. Hi guys, I'm alone here. Yeah, he's back. Okay.
My internet went off.
Yeah, I think it's around like it's more than 1 crore. So for an 85 lakh course of 1 year, 1 crore per year, not bad. You can repay the loan within maybe 3 to 5 years. Is that right? What are you planning to do? Or is Wi-Fi still off? So, guys, I'll take this opportunity to talk about data analytics. And why I'm specifically talking about this is because you see, we as an employee inside IIM got this opportunity. Uh, yeah, we got this opportunity to give away extra discounts. All the employees have an opportunity to do this. You can check out my LinkedIn or my employees, any of the people's LinkedIn, and you'll find some links where you will see that we are giving off discounts of 15,000, 5,000, or more than that, above and beyond the discounts that are there in the site. And data analytics is one of those courses. And as he spoke, as Bhargav spoke on this, that how it helped him. If you see his interview round, it's the depth and how data analytics helps a business. You can see how great it is and how what power it holds. And our course actually is inclusive of not only data analytics, it has BI, it has every detail from visualization to intelligence to analytics. Everything is there. Just check it out. And if you want discounts and all, you can actually go to some employees LinkedIn profile. We have posted, because we have this amazing power to give you guys discounts. Just check, maybe mine, Paul's, Ankit may not have posted it, but Refti, Tabish. So just check it out and we'll see if you're enjoying this. Now, is Bhargav back? Yeah, he's back. Oh, I'm sorry. I was blabbering because I thought you're not here.
No, no, I'm really
So,
sorry. My Wi-Fi
yeah,
restarted. I'm really sorry about
it's
that.
okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, getting back of what were we talking about? The
We were
courses
talking
and
about salaries.
talent. Yeah. So it is above 1 crore, right? Per year.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that so the repayment year will be like how long will it take for you to repay your loan?
Uh, it depends on your choice, but I think you'll should be able to pay it back in 5 to 6 years, I guess.
5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And like from here on, what is your plan post MBA? Do you plan to get back to India or be in Paris?
No, I plan to stay there for at least short term. I'm not sure where I'll be in the long term, but for the short run, I would like to stay there.
So again in the data industry, and because that's your niche.
I haven't figured that out part. So one of the options I'm looking at is product management. On the second thing is consulting. So I don't know which one I would be a good fit, and hopefully I'll get an idea of that once I go and I start picking colleges, because both of them are something where I can reuse or transfer the skills that I have right now and would be a good fit for those roles.
Hmm.
But I still need some clarity on how the things practically look like.
Understood. Do you plan to learn French?
Yeah, I am learning French. So yes.
And one more thing I've seen many people talk about, that once you go to abroad, it's very difficult to relate to their industry, because you see it's data. I know you spoke about a system and how it works. Data is data, but then the behavior of a person in India compared to that in Paris will be definitely
Completely
miles
different.
apart.
Yeah.
So, do you think that will be a challenge for you, or is data something with where you can work anywhere with it?
It will be a challenge and there will be a learning curve. So if you are working with a B2C business post MBA and you are not in India, obviously the trends and the behavior of the customer itself is going to change. And you would be able to figure them out with the help of data, but I as an individual or anyone who is changing geography would need to understand the nuances involved with the change in culture and the behavior in itself. And I think there will be learning curve, but it won't be a blocker as such.
And as you said, HEC is very much known for retail and luxury brands. So if you get an opportunity, will you work in that industry specifically?
Yeah, I would, I guess. I don't know. Uh,
Um,
if I give an option, I would love to. Uh, uh,
Understood. So yeah, I think I'm done with my questions. Let's get into the Q&A round and see what other people have to ask you.
mhm.
So somebody is saying hello. Uh,
Hello.
yeah. Kindly share your CV if possible. So yeah, we will share the CV if he wants to give me your, like, I can actually share the LinkedIn profile. It'll almost be a
I
CV.
think it covers everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll share that on this chat. Other than that, how did you get into HEC Paris? I think the whole webinar was for that. When did you give GMAT and what's the profile required for HEC? I think we spoke about
Spoke
it.
about that. Yeah.
But if you have an query still, you can just ask another question, maybe in detail. Then we have, do BCom grads get a chance to get into HEC Paris?
I think so. I'm not sure. I haven't asked people that much that what's their specific undergrad is, but I do see a lot of people are from commerce background. So I think there is always a chance for BCom
Yeah.
people.
And as you spoke, it's very much into, depth of your knowledge in your niche and then figuring out if this is a right fit for you, if HEC is a right fit for you.
Yeah.
And like if you like know about it or not,
Yes,
self-awareness is the key.
that's the
So
right word.
so yeah, then we have a question on what was your topic for the presentation for interview?
Yeah, so they leave it up to the candidate. You can pick anything. I picked metaverse as a topic because I wanted, I have some interest in that. And I talked about how how security is going to be a challenge if and when metaverse comes in the hands of a daily user. But yeah, you get to pick anything. I know a person who is uh, uh, who has talked about his one of the problem statement he has solved for while he was working. I know people who have talked about one of their hobbies, like someone like cricket, so he has talked about his famous cricketer. So the topic doesn't matter. I mean, you should be able to justify why you picked that and how it relates to your profile. And things which are important is that it should have content and it should be within the 10 minutes range, starting from introduction to the end of the topic.
So like, is there a sequence to it? What are you talking about exactly in that aspect?
It's completely open-ended. So you choose your uh, uh, own topic which you want to convey. As in my case, I told about how security is going to be a challenge in metaverse, and you can pick anything, that things like why Dhoni is the best player and ever. So anything you can pick. It should be relatable to your profile, and the time limit thing is something you should be very aware of.
Okay. Why didn't you try for Harvard?
I told you, right? So my problem with my profile or my timing was that it was December by the time I got my score. So either it was go for HEC or wait another year to apply for the colleges. I didn't wanted to waste another year, so I applied for the ones I had, and HEC turned out great for me.
And Harvard is a 2-year course or a 1-year course?
It's a 2 year course.
2-year course. You also preferred 1-year
Yeah,
course,
1 year
right?
course.
Right. What would your answer be to why MBA after engineering?
Why MBA after engineering? So I would say, even though I was an engineer, most of my work experience would be around business and analytics. Your take could be that you want to move. So, for example, you are a software engineer and you want to move to the other side of the bench where you're not actually creating the software, but you're thinking about the solutions which can help relieve the customer's point. So if you want to make that switch, then MBA can help you. So it would be more of a personal question for you. that in which field of engineering you are and where you want to go to. So I think it will be more of a personalized. It should be more of a personalized answer. That's where you get the authenticity in your answer, and that's how it makes sense for the reader or the interviewer. So try to make it about you and your profile and how it actually makes sense in your scenario.
Next is, do they look at gap years in career negatively, even if you have an excellent profile? WorkX at nice companies and decent acads like 95 in 10th, 82 in 12th, and 8.9 in graduation.
I don't know about the gap year, but I think as long as you're able to justify, there shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be that you have taken a gap and haven't been doing anything, you are sitting idle in the home, then it will be very difficult to justify. But let's say you took a gap year because you wanted to work with an NGO or start on your own venture or things like you wanted to try something else and highlight the learnings from that and how you are using them in your day-to-day or using them in your next move. It should be fine. So yeah, I think as long as you are able to justify that gap and what you learned from it, it shouldn't be a problem.
Actually, to add on to this, I spoke to an Oxford person and he took a gap year, and what he did was he chilled. So he told in the interview that I didn't do anything that could add value, but it added value in his life. So he said that he did yoga, meditation, and everything to get self-aware what he wants for the next 2, 3 years, 5 years. And they got it. Like, they're like, yeah, we understand. We appreciate that you did this for yourself.
Yep.
So that is one more thing you can actually do. And it's helping you. It's not adding value to the society, maybe. But yeah, that's one more thing. And they don't see it negatively. If you have a, the end goal is that you were looking out for yourself. You're looking to find an answer. So,
right. It should be a conscious choice that you took a gap and there was a plan or you did something productive. It need, as you told, it need not be for the society. It could be something for yourself, but as long as you are able to justify, that shouldn't be a problem.
Exactly. Next is, we need his CV, please. I wanted to know how he has structured it and how he has articulated his experience. So, Bhargav, what do you say? Do you have anything that shows your articulation of all the things that you have done?
I don't know how to put that. Like it was a general CV. Just make sure it's in one pager and crisp, and you how do I say it?
Maybe do you have any sheet where something is written and we can share it with our viewers?
Yeah, I can send it across to you.
Sure. So I'll get it, and yeah, Darshan, we will put this across in this. Is it okay to put it publicly? That's also one more question.
I'm not sure. we
Okay,
can speak
Darshan,
about.
just contact me on LinkedIn, and I'll send it to you if that works. I think it should be better that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, please do that. Other than that, I think we are done with this. And yeah, so well, that's for today. Any other questions? I guess no. So yeah, that's what we have got for today. And thank you all for joining Inside IIM to discuss Bhargav's journey from NIT to HEC Paris, which is not exactly in Paris. It's 2 hours away from Paris. And I'm going to crack this joke for every HEC person I call in. So yeah, from an engineer in India to an MBA candidate in Paris, we appreciate you signing in and hope you learned something new and interesting. I'll see you soon for the next webinar, which will be on Saturday. Please tune in, and thank you so much. Thanks, Bhargav. Thanks for a lot for your information.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Bye-bye.